It's Red River week. It's finally here. It's one of my favorite games of the college football calendar year, and probably one of the most, if not the most unique football game in all of college football, in particular when it comes to rivalries. Texas and OU at the State Fair, although it'll look a little different this year in the old Cotton Bowl. And Red River is always important to both of these programs, right? I mean, they desperately want to win every single year. But this year, there's a little added pressure on one of the teams. Both teams coming off of disappointing losses, but Texas, guys, is desperate for a win here. All of the pressure lies right between the eyes of Texas. Let me explain. There are 4 key reasons why I think Texas is under the most pressure. And I start with the fact that Texas is built to win this season. All right. You look at their roster right now, and it's pretty good. It's the 5th best roster in the entire country as it is ranked by the 24/7 composite rankings. That means that when it comes to their recruits, they've got the most 4- and 5-star recruits on their roster in the Big 12, the 5th most in the country. 53 of their players are either 4- or 5-star recruits from their recruitment process. They've got a quarterback, folks, that has started 36 games in college football. Sam Ehlinger is second in almost every single passing category in the program's history to Colt McCoy. You look at what they've got on defense, and all of those injuries last year led to experience this year. In fact, they've got 30 players on their roster that have starts under their belt in their career. They hired 2 very good coordinators, Mike Yursich on the offensive side, Chris Ash on the defensive side. Ash now reunited with Tom Herman. They were with each other at Iowa State. They were with each other at Ohio State. Now they're with each other at Texas. They had an immense amount of success at Ohio State, winning a national championship as Herman was the coordinator of the offense, Ash coordinator of the defense under Urban Meyer. This team is built to win right now. This is a team that was 7-6 in Herman's first year. They went to that 10-win plateau his second year. Last year, lots of injuries. They were still an 8-win team, and this was after 3 straight years of sub-500 teams under Charlie Strong. This was the year they all pointed to as the year that they were going to take the next step. Remember that wonderful recruiting class of 2018. Now they're all juniors. They're third-year players in the program. Texas is built to win this season. That's number 1. Number 2, OU is in the middle of a reload. We all know it. OU has lost back-to-back games now for the first time in Big 12 play since the John Blake era. Okay, they've got a bevy of transfer players, opt-out players, suspended players, graduated players from a year ago. Think about what they've got just on the offensive side. This is a team built to run the football, and they lost their 4 top rushers from a year ago. Jalen Hurts being one of them. Trey Sermon transferred to Ohio State. Kennedy Brooks opted out of the season. Ramadre Stevenson was suspended. And now they're sitting there with young running backs and a young quarterback. Everybody knows that this was going to be a little bit more difficult for Oklahoma. We thought that maybe Lincoln Riley could just power forward. And you know what? They've been within a possession, a play here or there of being 3-0. But he is breaking in a new quarterback for the first time in his career at OU. Ever since he got to OU, he's had a quarterback that's had significant experience in college football before he got to him at OU. Now you're looking at Rattler making his first start on the road, his first conference start, loses both of those. Now this is going to be his first start in Red River. Those things take time. And on the defensive side, they're not built to win this year. Think about their change in philosophy. They're trying to get longer and faster in the secondary, but every one of their starting secondary players is under 6 foot. If you look at some of the biggest contenders in college football, they average 6 foot or higher. Alabama, LSU, Clemson, Ohio State, all of them have length in the secondary. That defense also lost its 2 best pass rushers coming into the season. Ronnie Perkins in the suspension, Jalen Redmond opted out. They lost their best defensive player from a year ago in Kenneth Murray, who happened to be the first-round player that they have had drafted on the defensive side since Gerald McCoy. So again, OU is right in the middle of a reload, and they know it. Lincoln Riley's not under an immense amount of pressure because he has been so good there so far in his head coaching tenure. So that's number 2. Number 3, The losses to unranked teams have to stop. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, what does that have to do with this week? Well, Oklahoma just fell out of the top 25, so they are an unranked team. Did you know, since Herman got to Texas, that he's 11-6 as a ranked team against unranked opponents? Those 6 losses in such games are the most losses in college football over that time frame. The fan base is tired of those type of losses, being a ranked team, losing to unranked teams. And that's the exact situation that they find themselves in. Everybody at Texas wants to get back, right? And that's always the biggest theme of college. Is Texas back? Is Texas back? Well, to get back, you better be playing at a really elite level. And let me just give you some sense of what that elite level is. From 2001 to 2009, Mack Brown, as the head coach at the University of Texas, lost 16 games total, 5 of those to unranked opponents. Since Herman got to Austin, albeit in a much different time and with a much different roster, he's already lost 16 games total, 7 of those to unranked opponents. Those are the losses that have to stop. Those are the losses that are frustrating the fan base more than anything else. So this week, against an unranked OU, even in Red River, got to get a win. And the fourth point of why Texas really has to win this game is that at a minimum, they've got to play for a Big 12 championship. With this roster, with where OU is at, with the recruiting cycle, everything, they've got to at least play for a Big 12 championship. And they lose their own path if they lose this game, right? Then they'll need help. And they're just hoping that they can get to that game. If they beat OU, they still control their own destiny, and they can get there by just continuing to win every single week. So that's why this game is so important, because for Texas, as Sam Ehlinger has said, even this week, they deserve better. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here, College Football on Fox.